Well, obviously, last Saturday was a good game for our football team. After watching the tape, we played really well in all three phases. I thought the coaching staff did a great job with the game plan. And the players focused really well last week and were able to execute the game plan. And we started fast in all three areas. And obviously, things went really well for us. And we were excited to be able to get some other players on the field. Not much different than what we thought after the game. But we're back at work now for this week, and it's a good challenge for us. Our team needs to stay focused and practice well and continue to move forward like we have for the last couple months of the season. We're very excited about the game on Saturday night. We're looking forward to traveling down to Austin and competing. And our players were in a good frame of mind last night at practice, and so fully expect to have a great week of preparation and play a good game Saturday night.
Mike, Texas comes in 4-5, which is a pretty unusual record for them. Looking at them on film, can you see any differences between this Texas team and some of the ones they've had in the past?
Well, it's really hard for me to describe what's going on at Texas. You know, just like I would guess that it'd be difficult for other coaches to really get a feel for what's going on here at Oklahoma State. I'm gonna say that they probably aren't playing as well or win as many games as they'd want to, but it doesn't really factor in with what we're doing here, and that's all that matters. Is our players and coaches have done a good job up to this point of taking care of our business, and that's the way we want to proceed this week.
Coach Gundy, there's a lot of hype this week, and I'm sure the students across the campus are patting the players on the back and telling them how great they are and how wonderful it is to be 8-1. And how do you keep things on an even keel this week?
Well, it's only a factor if you start to listen to it. And I've said this for 4 or 5 weeks now, that if you start to think you're a pretty good player and you start to think that your team's better than you really are, you just need to look around the country every Saturday and you'll see teams get knocked off. And I'm a firm believer in that. We have some good players, some guys that have made a lot of football plays this year, and we have a good football team. But we're not beyond practicing well and keeping the right frame of mind in order to win our football games.
I guess if you wanted to keep them focused on how difficult this game would be, just like any other, but this would be the first time y'all would win in Texas. Just like Texas Tech, first time in 66 years. This too would be the first time in 66 years if you could win in Austin this weekend.
Yeah, it would be nice to wipe all those records off the board, but it doesn't factor into the game as much as you'd like to use it as motivation and think it's going to make the players practice harder and make them play harder. They have to practice because they have a purpose and they have a goal in mind, is to get better every day, and they have to go play hard because they need to be accountable to each other, to the other members of the team. And I just don't think it factors in much. I know that I've heard a lot about motivation techniques like that. I just don't believe in it. I believe in hard work and effort and taking care of each other.
Is it easier in any way to prepare for Texas, just simply because you probably have a lot of guys who thought maybe they should have been recruited more by them?
Not really. I don't. I just don't think those things really factor in. I know that's a good conversation piece, and people like to bring that up, but I just don't feel like players nowadays really get into things like that. I think that the success of a football team is based on their hard work and their commitment to each other.
Mike, you commented last week that may have been 3 of the best practice days you've had all season. Some of the players said it as well. You've been on a lot of football teams from Midwest City through here, playing and coaching. Have you ever had a team that enjoyed practice and came out every day with the right attitude to get the most out of it as this one?
These guys enjoy being around each other. We were very fortunate the last 3 or 4 years here. We had a good group of guys, had a good core, and they enjoyed being around each other both on and off the field. And I've said this each week. I'm kind of repeating myself now, but I had concerns with that in August just because it takes time to develop some continuity and some chemistry. And I have to give the credit to the veteran players. They've fostered that environment. And these guys know we're going out there for an hour and 40 minutes on Tuesday, and we're only going to be out there an hour and a half on Wednesday, and we're only going to be out there an hour on Thursday. So they have to take advantage of every opportunity they have to have success on Saturday. And they're buying into that. And I still think there's a group of young players that don't really fathom where we're at in this point in the season, so they're just going out and practicing and lifting weights and going to class and going to study hall, just trying to make it through the season. At times that happens with the young players, and the chemistry is pretty good right now.
Is this the best? I mean, I know the core group the last several years have been good, but it seems like this, sometimes they look like second graders running out there for recess. Which
Yeah,
is unusual to be that excited to practice.
Right, it's a good group, and I'm going to fall back on the assistant coaches. I think they're doing a really good job in continuing to keep them excited about practicing and playing the game of football. I'm convinced that Rob Glass is doing a terrific job with them in the weight room and keeping them fresh and also keeping them in good shape. And I think all those things factor in with the attitude of your team.
Coach, talk a little bit about your defense back-to-back weeks now. Very impressive performances by that unit.
They've improved each week. We didn't play as well as we would have wanted them to maybe 4, 5, 6 weeks ago, but they had a number of players that didn't have a lot of experience. And Coach Young is committed to playing multiple players at each position throughout the season. And he wants to keep our players fresh. And in every opportunity we have to do that, we've done that. And some of those younger guys that are rotating in, who were freshmen that we talked about early in the season and had real concerns about, well, they're 9 games into it now. So they have a little of experience, and they've kind of got a feel for the speed of the game. And there's consistency on that side of the ball. I've mentioned this many times before. I'm convinced that we're in the right style of defense and we have the right people coaching the positions, and that's why they're improving. And there's consistency there. There's not a panic button. When we didn't play very well, we didn't hit a panic button. I say we, they, me and Coach Young and their staff didn't hit a panic button, and they just identified what the problems were and came up with solutions and worked toward getting better each week. And I think we're seeing some of those results now.
Is Johnny Thomas maybe the best example of that?
Johnny's playing much better now than he was 6 weeks ago for 2 reasons. One, he's practiced very hard, and 2, his attitude has gotten he did not have a bad attitude, but he never or he hadn't bought into, I'm going to go out and have fun today at practice and enjoy myself, and I'm going to play hard, and let's see what happens. He made that transition about a month ago, and that's one of the key ingredients to becoming a good football player, is buying into what you're trying to accomplish, and he's bought in about a month ago, and he's turned into be a good football player now.
When you guys kind of signed Whedon a few years ago, did you have any idea kind of what you have, and are you surprised with kind of where he's come in his first year?
Well, we didn't have to sign him; he walked on, so we got lucky from that standpoint, and we knew we had a big, strong athlete and had some ability. Obviously, you don't go in the second round of the Major League Draft unless you got some skill, but we didn't really know whether he would pan out. Playing minor league baseball is one thing. Being involved in a college football program where you have discipline year-round and off-season workouts and all the things you go through just to be a player is another. And so sometimes those guys don't make it. But he just kind of hung around and stuck through it and was there. And he's matured a little bit and gotten better. And he's playing in an offensive system that fits his style of play and fits his ability.